Joining us right now is a relative newcomer in the world of pro wrestling. She may be a newcomer, but has made quite a name for herself in the past couple of years. You've seen her in many independents, TNA, and most recently NXT. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Deonna Purrazzo. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Now, Deonna, most of our guests can look back at a specific moment in time and tell us what made them want to become wrestlers. Do you have a specific moment like that?
Yeah, I was 9 years old, and I was watching, I don't know if it was Raw or SmackDown, but with my twin brother, and I saw, and don't quote me, but Stone Cold Steve Austin hit, maybe it was Chris Jericho with a steel chair, and I was kind of like, oh my gosh, who would someone do that to them? But that was the moment that I just became obsessed and wanted to know everything. I wanted to know everyone, and I kind of never grew out of it.
All right. Now, you started training to become a wrestler in 2012, I believe. And to you, how has the wrestling business changed for you in those 3 short years?
For me, it's kind of when they say like it's a lifestyle. For me, I didn't really understand that as much when I started training. But what's changed for me is just like my attitude, like total demeanor has changed so much. And my friends that I do have make fun of me because they're like, "Oh, you're such like a mom now." But I've just kind of grown up to like grow up while I'm, growing up in wrestling and growing up as a person too. So a lot's changed for me.
Now, obviously, whenever you train to become a pro wrestler, it's very hard work. It's serious business. But before you started training, did you feel like you were mentally and physically ready for this, or did it kind of take you all by surprise whenever you started?
I was an athlete my whole life prior to wrestling, so I was a competitive cheerleader. I was a gymnast. I ran track and field. I played softball and soccer and all those things growing up. So the athleticism of wrestling never really surprised me. It was more of adjusting my body towards the abuse that we put it through. Getting used to what it's like to take a bump and being sore. It's a completely different feeling than I felt in any of those sports that I played prior.
Now tell us, you mentioned earlier too, you said some of your friends were joking around with you when you started doing it, but who have been your biggest supporters early on in your career?
Definitely my family. Like I said, I knew I wanted to be wrestling when I was 9, so I told my mom and my dad, like, hey, I'm going to do this when I get old enough. And they thought I would grow out of it. It was just a phase. But I went one Thursday to sign up to train, and I came home, and I was like, so I'm going to be a wrestler. And they've been supportive the whole way through. So they don't understand, but they try to what I have to do and the sacrifices I have to make. So my family is definitely like there for me.
Now, when you started training and you had some matches under your belt or whatever, did you feel like there were one or two specific things that were hard for you to grasp about wrestling, whether it be in ring or promos or anything like that? Was there one or two things that maybe got you frustrated to begin with?
Yeah, when I started, I wasn't sure, who I wanted to be as a wrestler. I didn't have a character, and I didn't have any direction I wanted to go in. So to cut promos and to interact with fans was really hard for me because they didn't know who I was yet. And I guess I still don't really have a character. I'm just more an extension of who I really am. But I struggled a lot with being able to talk and being like a complete gimmick or character or something like that. But I also struggled with training with Damien Adams and a little bit with Rick Rogers. It's focused so much on psychology and learning to tell stories. So when I started training, that came really hard to me of trying to grasp like when to do things and feeding off of a crowd, not playing and just being able to call it on the side. So now I think I have a decent grasp on it, but when I first started, it was really hard for me to understand.
Sure. Now, you mentioned earlier, you said you're a natural athlete, from cheerleading and all that stuff. Pro wrestling is obviously different. What came to you, or what felt natural to you in the ring? Because I know, pro wrestling people think, oh, you just, you go in the ring and you wrestle. But there's a lot that goes to it. Was there anything that, part of the wrestling that was just, easy, or, I mean, second nature?
Yeah, I feel like I grasped running the ropes right away pretty well. And my footsteps, and I learned not to have like happy feet and to take as little steps as possible. I think all of those things like tied into my dance background with choreography and being able to watch and then replicate moves and things like that. So a lot of just learning the basics came natural because it's repetition and repeating your steps and repeating your movements. So that was really easy for me in terms of like learning mat wrestling and things like that.
Sure.
Now, we've all heard about this in the world of professional wrestling, and I mean probably in the world of any other competitive sport or anything like that. There's always, politics or drama or backstage problems. Have you had to deal with many of those, like starting your career, or you've been safe so far?
The only time I really had to deal with that was for my first match, actually. The woman that I was wrestling had been, I guess, a veteran and had been wrestling for like 10 or 12 years. And I don't know, she just didn't like me much. I don't know, maybe she was bitter, I'm not sure. But we were actually practicing our match beforehand. And she just came up behind me and gave me like a club right across my face and almost broke my jaw. So that's the only thing I've really experienced. Unprofessionalism in that case.
Sure. Now, women's wrestling has become probably the hottest topic in wrestling this year, from Give Divas a Chance to the Divas Revolution and all that stuff. Do you think women are starting to get more of a fair shake in a typically male-dominated sport now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I didn't get to watch, but even NXT TakeOver this afternoon in London, the women were, the co-main event, and then the NXT TakeOver prior to that, the women were the main event. And the last time that happened, that women's match was the main event, was Trish and Lita in maybe 2005 or 2006. So, I mean, I think it's been a long time coming. And again, with the Sasha and Bayley saga, I resonate with that because I grew up with the bra and panty matches and those Playboy matches. And I always said, if I'm going to be a wrestler, I want to be the main event. I want to be a wrestler, not a diva. And I think we are getting a lot more women's wrestling these days.
Now, what do you think that women and maybe even yourself can do to continue the upswing of women's wrestling in 2016?
I think in terms of, on an indie level, women's wrestling has really grown on our level as well. I mean, on TV, yeah, we get to see it, and it's to the world, millions and millions of people at once, but on an independent level, I think women really just need to, keep working with the guys and keep training and keep pushing the envelope, because we have women like, Kimberly just won the car title, and that has never happened before. So we just have to keep breaking those, barriers and pushing the envelope more, because the more we do it on this level, the more interest, it appeals more to TV too, and they kind of have to replicate what we're doing. So I think that we just have to keep pushing harder and harder and proving that we're just as good as the guys.
Definitely. Now, in TNA, the women wrestlers were called knockouts. In WWE, they're called divas. Do you think either of those terms work? And I mean, why can't you just be called what you are, and that's wrestlers?
I guess they work because that's what people are force-fed, and that's just what people know. I will never refer to myself as a diva. I'm a women's wrestler, and I guess there are some people who are divas who like the glam part of it, and that's great, but for me, it's just wrestling, and I want to be known for my ability in the ring, not my looks or what my body looks like or anything like that. So I think if WWE or TNA or Ring of Honor change what they call their women, that's when we'll be taken more seriously.
All right.
Absolutely. Now, 2015 has no doubt been an amazing year for your wrestling career. What would you consider the highlight of your year so far?
I've done so much this year, and I just tweeted out the other day I wrestled 97 times this year. And my goal was 100, but 97 is pretty damn close.
Yeah.
So that in itself is really an amazing accomplishment for me. Just to have traveled, I've wrestled in 13 states and 2 countries in 1 year. So looking at the logistics of it has been pretty good. But definitely working on NXT, and just that's, as a little kid, I didn't know that there was Japan and TNA and Ring of Honor. I didn't know about any of those things. I knew WWE. So to be able to go there and work at NXT and, be around the superstars and the divas, and then get to wrestle with them was just a dream come true for me.
Great. Now, how about who have been some of your favorites to compete against with so far?
I really love working with Vianette Rivera. She's a woman at Monster Factory. That's where she's trained out of, and I just think she's phenomenal. I'm really excited to have her start making her name and getting her name out there more. I've wrestled Mandy Leon a ton of times now, and I will be wrestling her Saturday at Ring of Honor too, so I love being able to get in the ring with her. I love her as a person, and as a wrestler, I respect her. So those are two of definitely my favorite opponents.
All right, now on January 22nd of 2016, you'll be wrestling for Jeff Jarrett's promotion, GFW. Have you gotten to work with Jeff before? And if not, are you looking forward to this opportunity?
I have not been able to work with him before, but I'm really excited because this is a new product, and it's something that he's trying to really get out there and push more. So to be invited to be a part of it only speaks to what I've accomplished, and I'm really excited to add it onto my list of accomplishments.
Great. Well, we'll definitely see you there. But, other than Global Force Wrestling, is there anything else in the works that you might have in store for next year? I know it's kind of early, but anything else we could know about you?
There's not much, nothing, every show is exciting, but there's not much, scoop yet. I don't have anything that I can really talk about yet. There's just more traveling and more working hard, more matches. I set the goal for 100 again next year, so I'm really looking forward to really making it happen, and just keeping up this momentum that I've gone with this year.
Lightning round.
The first one's an easy one. I'm gonna lob you an easy one. It's favorite wrestler of all time.
Ric Flair.
All right. Time for the curveball. Favorite fast food?
Oh my gosh, Wendy's.
Do you have a hidden talent?
I can sing very well.
All right. And where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully I'm graduated college by then. I'm going to college to be a history education major, so I want to teach U.S. history. Hopefully I don't have to do that, and I can do the wrestling full time.
There you go.
All right. If you got to pick a dream match, who would your opponent be?
Trish Stratus or Sarah Del Rey.
All right, and then finally, the biggest question, Jonathan. Will you be going to see the new Star Wars movie?
I will not. My brother bought exclusive ticket. I don't know. I have no idea what Star Wars is. I have no idea anything about it. So I won't be going unless my brother drags me.
Well, what if The Rock was in it? Would you go then?
No.
Oh, wow.
I still don't know anything about it.
I figured I'd just ask, but hey, all right, not a Star Wars fan, no problem.
All right. Well, obviously in this day and age, everybody has social media, probably websites, all that stuff. So where can fans keep up with you on social media?
All of my social media tags are at Deonna Purrazzo. So I have a Facebook, an Instagram, and a Twitter.
Great. Well, thanks a lot. Jonathan, we barely scraped the surface with her today. Thanks for coming on today. We look forward to having you back in the future, and we wish you nothing but the best in your wrestling career.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.